Here is drawing of our friend Usopp. If you like picture like this, remember to check me out, follow me on the Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram. And as always, have a nice day. One Piece, Chapter 88. Die. Well, hello and welcome, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as expected, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the tantalizing and epic, action-filled, thriller-minute tale of One Piece. The last few chapters have kind of seen some of our Straw Hat pirate crew, go off and face Arlong's lieutenants, his officers, one at a time, and kind of each chapter is focused on one of them. The last chapter was Usopp, he doesn't have any superhuman qualities about him. He's not he doesn't have this indomitable strength of spirit. He isn't able to stretch. He doesn't have the magical Sanji kicks. But he's clever. He's clever, and he found it within him to rise up above and to ultimately, at the end of the chapter, he had tricked Choo. He had thrown a bottle of rum or grog to him, and then exploded it, so there was rum all over him with one of his stars. And then later on in the fight, at the end of the chapter, hit him with a fire star. So we were left with Choo being engulfed in flames, and that's where we pick up. It's really kind of cool because you see Choo just on fire, and this is a fishman and somebody who is stronger than Usopp and has made it known, that he's stronger and more powerful. It's very much a David and Goliath type of thing, and I like it too because Usopp has the slingshot, similar to the David and Goliath tale. So if you're not familiar, look it up. But it winds up starting out pretty cool because he's on fire and he's running and he's trying to get towards the water, and Usopp goes and Usopp's water hammer, and he just whap, just nails him, right. And so as he goes and he finally gets himself, Choo gets himself in the water and extinguishes the flames because obviously he was on fire. He's basically he's pissed and now he's gonna kill Usopp, right? Usopp, though, he's weakened him, and he clearly has the advantage at this point. So he's got that Usopp's hammer, and in a really cool, panel page type deal, he's just Usopp's hammer, Usopp's hammer, Usopp's hammer. It just nails him, just beats him to a pulp, until he's unconscious. And then at the end of it, right, it's just great because Usopp's just like, oh, and he's like looking at his unconscious, beaten body of Choo, and he's just like, I did it, I won. And he just falls back, out of excitement, probably exhaustion as well. So it then goes and it takes us over to it takes us to Nami, and this chapter is very much, even though it takes place over several different things, this is about Nami, and it's about her struggle to stand up and to fight, to not just go and pack it in like she has the last 8 years, and try to do something for the better good, the better of the good and everything else. This is very much a fight or die type of chapter, and it's really cool how everything's brought together. So Nami basically goes and she's wrapped up her wound because last time we saw her way back in chapter 81 was when she had said "help me" to Luffy, and this was right after she was stabbing and cutting pieces of her flesh off to get Arlong's tattoo off. So she's back at her house there, her and Nojiko's place. She's wrapping herself up, and she's like, you know what? Enough of this shit, man. Enough of this. It is time for me to go. And then it's like you're thinking, what is she gonna take off, right? To join the fight. So she's all in. So she starts marching towards towards Arlong Park. And when she gets there, it's kind of cool because she's like, Arlong, and he says, oh, look, my esteemed navigator, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he has gone and he is, Zoro and Sanji are on the ground. And all the villagers are like, what the hell is going on? And even Sanji and Zoro, and I forget who it is that mentions it, but they're like, basically it just looked like he went and threw some water at him. But instead of them just being knocked out or knocked down, their blood came out of them and everything else. So clearly we're starting to see the power of Arlong and the terror of this shark-like fish, fishman. So Arlong goes and starts trying to strike a deal again with Nami, He's basically just like, hey, listen, I'm going to kill everybody right here. So if you want to keep rebelling, go ahead and do that. But if you want to stay in my service, forever, I'm a fair man, I'll still kill these two because they've been too much of a pain in the ass, Zoro and Sanji. But I will spare the villagers, the Cocoa Village villagers, right? So she hesitates for a minute and she's thinking about things, and it also goes and it shows us Genzo and Nojiko, who've now switched places, and and Luffy still isn't breathing, mind you, okay? And this was my mistake. I said in the last chapter they got him breathing again. They didn't. They started to get some water up out of his lungs, and his head is above water, but he still hasn't been breathing now for a couple of chapters. And even though these chapters may take place over a minute or two, not breathing for any period of time is not a good thing, not good for your health. So Nojiko's down there still trying to kind of, pump him and, pump his chest and get his lungs going. And finally he goes and kind of glubs and, spits up some water. And they're like, oh, good. Is he starting to twitch? She feels a twitch down there. She's like, is he starting to move? So Arlong tries making this deal with Nami. And this is where the hesitation comes in. She thinks about it in her head and she's like, you know what? I mean, Zoro and Sanji are pretty much already defeated, right? And Arlong is looking like he'll just kill everybody. So if it's in my hands to save the villagers or to kill him. So she goes and she looks at him and she's like, sorry, and you're thinking, oh, she's going to go and pack it in again and do the weak dick shit, right? Well, she goes and rises up, man. It's very cool, very much like the speech from Braveheart or one of those type of movies. She's just like, you know what? She goes, we may wind up all dying, but let's die together. Let's die fighting, right? And everybody's like, yeah, And Sanji and of course Zoro, like I said, they're pretty much beaten. Sanji at one point tried to actually get up and attack Arlong. Kind of talk down to him again, and Arlong basically just nailed him. And Sanji said, he's like, man, this guy's got that. It's like when he get hit, it's like getting hit by a shotgun, is how he compared it. So while this is all going on, and now Nami's like, listen, I'm gonna rise up, I'm gonna fight, that sort of thing. It's very cool because everything sort of comes together all at once in a series of events. Zoro goes and puts his thumb up, right? And first he's holding his thumb down, but he kind of goes and he tells Sanji, because Sanji's like, okay, Luffy's breathing now, okay, we got to get him free though. But Sanji can't go down there and kick the rock and break it and free Luffy if Arlong's going to jump in and follow him and he's stronger in the water. We already tried that once and we saw what happened. He almost got his ass handed to him. He did get his ass handed to him by Kirubi and really just barely came out on top. So, this whole thing is taking place, and Zoro basically goes and stands up. And now remember, he's bloodied and broken and beaten, man. And Zoro stands up and he's just like, looks at Sanji and he's like, I've only got 30 seconds in me maximum, I can hold Arlong off, but I mean, I don't have much left in me. So, and then Sanji's like, that's more than enough time. That's more than I'll need. And he dives in the water, right? And we're like, oh, fuck yeah, this is cool. So right as Zoro's going and he goes and winds up, Arlong says something about, oh, there's no fountains in here. Could it be the Luffy, because obviously the water that sprayed up from when he, from when he spit out the water, he was like awake now, he's breathing. So Arlong now is aware of that, and he kind of turns his attention, for a second. Zoro goes and just nails him, and then goes and says something to the effect of, hey, pay attention to me, you're fighting me, right? And just kind of a badass move by Zoro, because he's all bloodied and beaten and everything like that, but he's like, you got to get through me first. So, and he calls him something about, fish head or something like that, fish bait, and he's like, I warned you once about calling me names, dead man. So right as he's paying his attention to Zoro, right, all of a sudden, man, Egg Star, and just nails him in the back of the head, Arlong. It's fucking Usopp. Usopp's come back, right? And he's like, and everybody's like, Usopp, and he's like, Nami. He's all excited. He's like, I beat one of Arlong's, officers, one of his pirates. I beat him, and this and that. And here I am back to... And he's wound up at a little hole that's in the wall to Arlong Park. He wound up, this guy's like a marksman, right? He winds up nailing Arlong or whatever with this. So now, regardless of them beating him or anything else, I think at this point they're just trying to buy time, obviously, so Luffy can go and become, get free and can fight him. Or maybe they're all going to take him on. I don't know. Whatever's left of their energy, because Luffy's obviously, pretty weakened as well. So Luffy even goes and says, because, Genzo's like, can't you free yourself? He's still holding his head up above the water, and Luffy goes, no, I just don't have the strength. So we know that Sanji's on his way down there. We know that the, like I said, that the shit's hitting the fan over here. It's pretty cool. At the end of the chapter, though, right in the last panel of the chapter, it looks like my man Hachi has gotten up on his 6 arms or whatever, and it looks like he's going to come back in and join the fight now. Remember, he was beaten a few chapters ago by Zoro and knocked out and wounded, but certainly the shit's going to get thick in here, and I don't know if it's just going to be an all-out, frickin' super slam WWE wrestling match type of fest, or if it's going to be everybody, all the Straw Hats trying to get together and basically teaming up to take down Arlong. So I guess we will see in the next one, which I'm excited to dive into. So let me know what you think, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, if you think I deserve it or if I've earned it. And then, of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
As always, thanks for watching, brothers and sisters. And remember, join the Nerd Nation. It's the right thing to do. Trust me. Tell them Jim sent you.